chaos has been par for the course in this Big 12 football season. Welcome into Inside the Big 12, everybody. I'm your host, Morgan Huber. We have plenty to get to today with 5 games from last weekend, another 5 to look forward to this weekend. Plus, you get to hear from one of the Texas defensive stars that helped take down number 6, Oklahoma State. With West Virginia and Texas both picking up huge wins on Saturday, there are officially no undefeated teams left in the Big 12. The Longhorns defeated number 6 Oklahoma State, and the Mountaineers took care of business against number 16 Kansas State. This weekend, those two teams, Texas and West Virginia, they'll meet in Austin, both coming off of their biggest wins of the season. The Longhorns are going to have to put up a fierce battle in the trenches as they will be going up against one of the most talented defensive lines in the country. The Mountaineers will bring plenty of pressure on Texas quarterback Sam Ehlinger. They have 20 sacks in 6 games, led by freshman defensive end Akeem Messidor. The Mountaineers also have the top rushing D in the Big 12. All season long, they've made it a challenge for teams to run the ball. It'll be no different this weekend. And this is something the Texas offense has struggled with all season long. Not to mention, Texas head coach Tom Herman said earlier this week his team is going to be without their most productive running back, Keontae Ingram. He suffered a high ankle sprain midway through the first quarter against Oklahoma State. Certainly doesn't help the case of Texas's running game here. However, they have been able to rely on their quarterback, Ehlinger, all season long. He was the reason that they got the W in Stillwater. Let's take a look back to see just how things unfolded late in the game. 4th and 7, Texas down 31-26 with just 4.5 minutes remaining. Ehlinger connects with wide receiver Jake Smith for a touchdown that gave the Longhorns their first lead of the game. Coach Herman said that was the best play of his quarterback's career. The ensuing play, Ehlinger found senior tight end Cade Brewer for the 2-point conversion to give the Longhorns the 3-point lead. The Longhorns offense put them in the position to take this game to overtime. However, it was the Texas defense that ultimately sealed the win in extra time. One of the Texas defensive leaders, D-tackle Taquan Graham, joins me right now in the Big 12 studio. Taquan, this team is coming off of its 3rd overtime game of the season. How has this team grown by repeatedly being battle-tested?
I've said we have grown because in the years past, I don't know if we would have won those type of games. I don't know if we would have stayed that close to get to overtime. I think over the years, this is the best team that I've been on, and I think that we continue to get better each week. And I think that this team has a lot of fight and resolve to it. And I always feel like when the game's on the line, we're gonna perform at our best. And that's something that I can appreciate from each and one of my teammates.
Your head coach, Tom Herman, said this is a much different Texas team than after the back-to-back losses against TCU and Oklahoma. What's changed?
Just the reflection after those 2 losses back-to-back, going into that bye week and saying what has happened, what has went wrong. This everybody looking themselves like in the mirror and saying, what do I have to get better at? What am I not doing right? Am I giving enough effort? Looking within yourself and trying to fix those problems, then applying that in practice, then of course applying that in games. I feel like we've gained all this confidence from putting all this work in, and as well as seeing the results from especially the last game defensively, being able to get all those turnovers. I think that's building on top of our confidence in our play.
You mentioned turnovers. This defense caused 3 big turnovers in the first half alone that put your offense in the red zone. What made this defense so aggressive early in drives?
Um, I don't know. There's always a saying that players show up in big games, and like real ball players show up in big games. And I feel like we really took that to heart, and our coaches challenged us, and I felt like we definitely answered that challenge. And Chris Ash says this every single day in practice. The ball is important. Getting the ball is important, and that's what we did, and that's what he preaches. And I'm glad that we're able to execute that and help our offense out. I feel like we played complementary football.
Speaking of first-year defensive coordinator Chris Ash, how does this defense's skill set blend with his philosophy?
Um, Being a attacking 4-down defense is something that, as a D lineman, you just pray that you fit into a system like this. And I feel like Especially the guys on the defensive line would agree with me. It's like it's been a blessing for him to come here and for him to drop his knowledge and teach us, and for him to coach in the back end and to, I guess, change our perspective on how we should do things around here. And Chris Ash means a lot to us players defensively and what he has done since he's been here in this short time, especially that little 4 month hiatus that we all took from each other. I feel like he was able to come in here, change how we thought defensively and how we played. And we're not done getting better yet. And he tells us that every day. And I think we're going to continue to get better each week.
This defense contained running back Chuba Hubbard. He averaged just 2.9 yards a carry. This week you face another talented running back in West Virginia's Letty Brown. How do you replicate this success defending the run?
Um, uh, Trying to put out that same performance or a similar performance that we did versus Oklahoma State. I think it takes discipline, being very sound in how we play football and how we execute the game plan that he sets out in front of us. And I think in open field tackling, I think it's very important too, because these are very talented athletes as well. We're all on scholarship. They got scholarship guys. We got scholarship guys, and they're going to make plays. And how you negate some of those explosive plays is by getting guys on the ground. So open field tackling and being disciplined is how I think we get that done.
You said you were speechless after the performance of linebacker Joseph Asai. 12 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Now that you've had some time to think about it, what are the right words to sum up his career day?
Relentless. He's a relentless player, and when you pair that with the talent that he has, the production doesn't surprise me at all. Something that I see every day in practice, something that I've seen every day since he's been here. No matter what his role's been, he has been relentless in what he does. And I'm very appreciative for him being my teammate. And that relentlessness that he has, it rubs off on everyone on the defense. All the effort he gives in and all the plays that he makes, it rubs off on you. It makes you want to do more. It makes you seem like you have more energy to do things. And I'm just so appreciative to have him as a teammate.
Watching the film back, it looked like you had clear vision of that 4th down sack that sealed the win in overtime. As Osai was chasing down Sanders, what was going through your mind?
As he was chasing him down, I knew he was going to get him. Just the way he came off the edge, and I have so much confidence in my teammates. I have so much confidence in Joe. I know Joe's going to make those type of plays that we need him to make, and he's going to give everything that he has. So, as I was watching, I knew Joe was going to make that play, and I was so happy for him when he did, and I was happy that we were able to get that done as a defense. Being able to walk off in overtime with that big stop and to win the game on defense was such an amazing feeling.
Taquan, right now at this point in the season, why are the goals of this Texas football program still attainable?
I feel like after dropping those 2 games, Coach Herman made it a very like a big point that in 2018 uh, we were leading the conference for a little bit, and we dropped 2 games back to back. That year we ended up going to the Big 12 championship game, and even though we didn't win it, those goals were still attainable for us. And in a similar situation, we dropped back to back games, and if we take care of business each week, and I feel like don't look too far down the tunnel and handle our business, all those goals are still attainable. There's no longer an undefeated team in the Big 12. We just have to go out there every week and be ready and prepared. And all those goals are still obtainable for us.
Taquan, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck this weekend against West Virginia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tip of the cap to Texas on that statement win over Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, though, they still have everything in front of them left to play for. Yes, I mean everything. When you take a look back at what Oklahoma has done, the 4 times they've made the college football playoff, they've lost 1 game. Oklahoma last year lost to Kansas State. The year before that, they lost to Texas. In 2017, the Sooners lost to Iowa State. And in 2015, they also lost to who but Texas. The one-loss Sooners have made it to the college football playoff 4 times. In fact, 15 one-loss teams have made it to the CFP since it began in 2014. Yes, some of those were conference championship games. However, doesn't mean it can't be done. Now, no two-loss team has ever made it to the college football playoff. The Cowboys, they must win out, and they must do so quite convincingly. Let's take a look here who they have left remaining on their schedule. They have Kansas State this weekend in Manhattan, followed by a bye weekend, which comes at a great time because you're going to want to make sure to circle this one on your calendar. November 21st, Oklahoma in Norman. Then they have Texas Tech at home. And then to round out the regular season, they have TCU and Baylor on the road back-to-back weeks. Then, of course, they would have to win the Big 12 championship game. A lot of football left to be played for the Cowboys, but in that same vein, it's way too early for this narrative of the Big 12 has played itself out of the college football playoff picture. Let's switch gears, though, and look at what we have going on this weekend. The first game of the day, West Virginia at Texas, 11 a.m. Central on ABC. We have 3 midday matchups, Kansas at Oklahoma, Texas Tech at TCU, Oklahoma State at Kansas State. We'll round out the night in Ames with Baylor at Iowa State. That one starts at 6 p.m. That rounds out this episode of Inside the Big 12. No show for you next week, but the following week I will have a full preview of a highly anticipated bedlam, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. For now, enjoy your 10+ hours of Big 12 football this Saturday, everybody.